What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the Lakers Outsiders weekly podcast. I am Gary Kester, your host with you as always. This podcast, as always, is also brought to you by UCast Studios. I am here to talk about the Lakers' most recent two games by the time that I'm recording this, which is a late Sunday night. The Lakers are in the win column. And they've done it with back-to-back wins, and I'm going to talk about both of those. But before I get started, as always, guys, be sure to like this video, subscribe to UCast Studios and Lakers Outsiders on YouTube and all the major podcast platforms, iTunes, Podbean, Spotify. Do all of that, and be sure to check out LakersOutsiders.com for all the content that you want related to the Lakers. We've got a great staff of guys putting together content for you guys. Be sure to check out social media. Follow us on Twitter at Lakers Outsiders and like us on Facebook as well. That's how you can keep up with all the content for LakersOutsiders.com. And like I said, we got a great group of people working on content daily for you guys. So be sure to check all that out. So, okay, let's jump into first. I'm going to talk about the Lakers' 95-86 win over the Utah Jazz before I talk about the win over the Charlotte Hornets, where the Lakers beat them 120-101. So let's talk about this Jazz game first. First and foremost, the Lakers' defense was phenomenal in this game. That's obviously the big thing that jumps out. I mean, a lot of people still kind of look at point totals, which can be kind of misleading, especially in today's NBA where teams play at a much faster pace. There's a lot of three-point shots taken. There just seems to be more possessions created because of the pace that teams play at. But so you don't see scores like this very often, but the Lakers winning 95-86. Obviously, you'd like to score more than 95 points, but holding a team to 86 points in this day and age, it doesn't happen very often. And the Lakers were swarming defensively. Just fantastic. I mean, creating a lot of deflections, blocking shots, contesting shots around the basket. And I think any Laker fan can tell you over the past few years how disruptive Rudy Gobert has been in his matchups against the Lakers and how problematic he's been both on the offensive glass and then defensively. Well, guess what, folks? The Lakers have the great Rudy Gobert equalizer, and his name is Anthony Davis. Davis is just such a monster. He's such a monster, and he impacts the game so greatly on both ends of the floor. And to me, that was, the main difference, I guess, why the Lakers didn't really struggle with Rudy Gobert this time around. I mean, he had, in 32 minutes, Gobert had 8 points and 9 rebounds, 4 of 8 shooting. He had 3 assists, 2 steals, no block shots for Rudy Gobert. That's huge because, like I said, in past few years, Gobert has been a problem for the Lakers. He's been just his size, his length, his athleticism, his timing to contest shots around the basket has been very, very problematic. But the Lakers have that presence down low now, and really what the Lakers kind of figured out in the second half was putting Anthony Davis at the 5 to match up specifically with Gobert. And this allowed the Lakers to really space the floor a little bit more. If you've been listening to this podcast for a little while now, I guess since the start of the preseason, I've been kind of really pounding the table on Davis playing the 5 and how I think that's going to be the best thing for this team, and those are probably going to be the most effective lineups for the Lakers with Davis at the 5 because you still have that elite rim protector, but you also have that guy that can space the floor, and it allows a ton of room for him to operate, for LeBron to operate, shooters to open up, and I think that's the exact effect that it had. I mean, when you look at the third quarter where the Lakers really blew that game wide open, when they made the switch and they brought in Alex Caruso for JaVale McGee, who did not play well, but Caruso, if you looked at Caruso's box stats, you wouldn't think he had really much of an impact on the game. I mean, he had 2 points, a couple of turnovers, 1 steal, no assists, no rebounds, 1 for 3 shooting in 20 minutes. So looking at that, you don't you wouldn't imagine that he had much of an impact. But just his presence out there, playing off of guys like LeBron and AD, he's just such a solid, steady presence. And I'll talk about him a little more with the Hornets game, because he had a much greater impact in that game. But just the premise of having another steady guy that can create a little bit of offense and sometimes picks up those hockey assists and makes the right pass that leads to the next right pass and so on and so forth. I think Caruso's that type of player, and he just kind of usually makes the smart play, the right play, and he's a guy that plays hard, plays with a lot of energy and a lot of effort. And I think just the premise of putting Davis at the 5 was such a big thing for the Lakers because it brought Gobert away from the basket and allowed the Lakers to really attack off the dribble, and it just created a lot of different things for them. And in that third quarter, to outscore the Jazz 31-18, that really blew the game open because the Lakers already had a 6-point lead at the half. They were up 43-37, so outscoring Utah by 13 in that quarter really blew that game open and gave the Lakers a 19-point lead going into the fourth quarter. And usually, you probably have a greater than 90% chance at winning the game at that point, especially as good as the Lakers were defensively. Utah scored 31 points in the fourth quarter, but probably a good portion of those came after the game was out of reach, and it was just garbage time at that point. That's how good the Lakers were defensively. First three quarters, Utah 17 points, 20 points, 18 points. That's getting it done defensively. And if the Lakers play that way defensively, they can absolutely win a championship. And they're going to win a lot of games if they play that way defensively. So it was a great, great defensive performance. One guy that really jumped out, and again, you look at the box score and it might not, you might not suggest that he had a major impact, but Danny Green. He had 9 points, 4 rebounds, but he had 3 steals defensively. Danny Green is just such a smart defender. He's such a smart player, really on both ends of the floor. Offensively and defensively, the guy is just always in the right position, it seems like. Defensively, as a help defender, he's fantastic. Jumping and passing lanes, just creating deflections, getting up into guys. He has been outstanding. Absolutely outstanding defensively. And if you want to watch a masterful performance defensively, watch Danny Green in that Utah game, especially the first quarter. My goodness. Just watching that, I honestly, I felt like he played a perfect defensive first quarter for a wing player. He was spectacular defensively, especially in that first quarter, and helped the Lakers get off to a good start. They won that first quarter 24-17. And of course, the star of the night in the Jazz, the win over the Jazz. Obviously, Davis certainly had his impact, but LeBron James. So many people after the first game said, "Oh, he's washed up now. He's done. He's going to be 35 in December. He's old. He's done." I love those first game overreactions. The first game hot takes. My goodness, people. How many times does LeBron have to do it before you guys understand? Father Time is undefeated, don't get me wrong. It eventually gets everybody. But to really think LeBron was washed because of one bad game against a very good Clippers team, relax. Take a deep breath and relax. LeBron is not washed. He showed this in the Jazz game. 32 points, 10 assists, 7 boards. He was fantastic. Looked like LeBron. And that's the thing with the Clippers game is, a lot of people for some reason thought he just looked, bad athletically. I didn't think he really looked bad athletically. I just thought his decision-making was kind of poor. And sometimes that's going to happen. Sometimes, LeBron can force some passes and, they don't get through or whatever. And I thought that was the main root of his problem in the Clipper game, in the season opener. Much better in the Jazz game. Decision-making was excellent. He was very aggressive offensively and filled up the stat sheet. He was a plus 17 against Utah. So I believe that was best on the team. Yes, it was. Plus 17. Next best was Dwight Howard, who was plus 13. And I'll talk about him in a little bit. But yeah, LeBron was fantastic. Danny Green was excellent. Anthony Davis, was he was AD. But that second half change was big. It was big. I think to put AD at the 5, space the floor. It just created a lot of different things for the Lakers, and I think it really freed up some of their shooters. And one of those guys was Troy Daniels. In 21 minutes, he had 15 points, 4 for 8 from the 3-point line. That's what he's on the team to do. He's on the team to hit open threes, and man, he's got such a pretty stroke. And I had concerns about Daniels coming in because of his defense, because he is a bit undersized as basically a 2-guard. But man, that guy really tries on defense. I really respect that. I really respect his effort on that end. Doesn't have the physical tools to really be like an elite defender or anything, but his effort on the defensive end has been fantastic. So you pair that with his natural shooting ability. He's the type of guy that when he's open, I expect the ball to go in. So and he's proven that so far, especially in that Jazz game. He shot the ball very, very well, and provided a spark. I think there was a stretch where he hit a couple. I think it was 2 or 3 straight threes, and he really kind of sparked a run, and that was big. So Troy Daniels, quality minutes off the bench, and like I said, just that second half switch. The Lakers had 6-point lead going into the half, which was pretty good, but that second half switch of putting AD at the 5 was great. I think that's going to be the most optimal solution for the Lakers, both offensively and defensively, because it'll allow them to probably defend the 3-point line better, while having that anchored down low defensively with Anthony Davis, allowing him to protect the rim and contest shots around the basket. And then offensively, it's going to provide them a ton of floor spacing, because AD, at the 5 can shoot and pull shot blockers away from the basket, and gives, opens up some driving lanes, some backdoor cuts, shooters, all that stuff. So I think the optimal solution for the Lakers moving forward is going to be AD at the 5, but I don't think that they need to do that full time. That, to me, that just needs to be kind of used sparingly in probably the more dire situations, because I think AD at the 5 is, if you play him there full time, it's asking for him to probably put a little too much wear and tear on his body than you would like. I think the Lakers still have a good thing going with this rotation of JaVale McGee, Anthony Davis, and Dwight Howard playing minutes at the 5. So I think that the Lakers just need to kind of stay the course, keep playing AD at the 4. That's totally fine during the regular season. In the playoffs, or even in the regular season, just down the stretch of close games, I think your best solution is probably AD at the 5. So, but you have to preserve Anthony Davis too. You can't have him bang with, centers, like really big centers, I guess, for all 82 games. It's just not smart. So, plus, the Lakers are getting some quality minutes out of, JaVale probably less so. JaVale has had moments and shown flashes of playing well, but he hasn't really pieced it together yet. Dwight, on the other hand, has played pretty well. So yeah, I think, like I said, that's going to be the best solution going forward. AD at the 5 helps them both offensively and defensively, and for the reasons I just laid out, and hopefully it's something that we see and they kind of work on, but hopefully it's not something that they overuse. So, alrighty, that's it for the Jazz game. That was the home opener for the Lakers, and they got it done. I guess one more quick point. I'm really encouraged that the Lakers dominated a game that they shot 39% from the field, and only 30% from 3. That's really encouraging. That's how good their defense was. Even though Utah shot 41%, the Lakers had 16 more shots. They won the rebounding battle by just a couple, but they forced a lot of turnovers. Utah looks like had 22 turnovers. Yes, it's like 22 turnovers. So that's a lot. If the Lakers can create a lot of turnovers like that, it'll create some transition opportunities, and create some easier offense for them and things like that. So it'll open up a lot of things. But defense is going to win the Lakers games, and to win in the playoffs, you got to be able to play solid defense. And I think in the Clipper game, we saw the Lakers defense kind of come and go. At times it was good, and at times it was bad. In the fourth quarter, it was kind of bad, and the Clippers got quality looks while the Lakers didn't. And that's kind of why the Clippers pulled away late in that game while the Lakers had a chance to win it. So that was win number one on the season, win number one of the Anthony Davis as a Laker era, the AD LeBron era. Let's jump to game number two, which just got over with not too long ago by the time that I'm recording this. The Lakers beat the Hornets 120-101. Very strong second half by the Lakers. First half, it just seemed like they were a little flat. It's a Sunday evening game. I don't know if the boys were, enjoying some Halloween party festivities over the weekend or what, but very sluggish in the first half. The Hornets are not a good NBA team. They're very young. They're pretty fun to watch, in all honesty. They space the floor. They shoot a lot of threes. They try and run. They got some young talent on their team, but they're not a good team. Not this year. So there's a reason why the Lakers were 13.5-point favorites. For a while there, it wasn't looking like the Lakers were going to cover. I guess for the first half, it looked like the Lakers might not even win. Luckily, there are two halves, 4 quarters, and the Lakers really dominated in quarters 3 and 4. Defensively, they were much, much better in the second half. The score was 63-62 at the half, and in the second half, Charlotte only scored 39 points. 18 points in the third quarter, 21 points in the fourth quarter. LeBron, it was kind of funny, and this is kind of the luxury, I guess, for the Lakers of having two superstars, is that they don't both have to dominate at the same time. And there's not like that full workload on one star at all times. And maybe this is why you see a lot of teams, a lot of superstars team up nowadays, is so that there's not that stress of trying to carry the load all the time. And with Davis and LeBron, this game was kind of the epitome of that. In the first half, it was all Anthony Davis. He was a monster in the first half. The Hornets had no answer for him. He started hitting some threes. That was great to see. Davis really had been struggling with his jumper, and tonight he hit 3 of 5 3-pointers. Finished 10 of 19 from the field. The jumper, we saw it start to kind of get back to working a little bit. We've seen it in years past with Davis being able to hit shots and or hit jump shots, and tonight it was nice to see some of those go down, especially from the 3-point line. He kind of threw his hands up in the air like finally after he made his first three. So that was good to see. If he's hitting jumpers, he's already a walking cheat code. And there was a play where he took, I believe it was Cody Zeller, off the dribble and crossed him over, went through the lace. Guys that big are not supposed to have ball handling abilities like that. To dribble drive and kind of cross his man up and go all the way to the bucket for a layup. Guys that big aren't supposed to do that. So I'm just astonished all the time watching Anthony Davis play. It's still kind of surreal to me that he's a Laker. A couple years ago, I was dreaming of him being a Laker, but I was like, there's no way that happens, right? There's just no way a guy like that ever becomes available. And so it's just still amazing to me to see him playing for the Lakers and just doing the things that he naturally does. He's just so amazingly talented and gifted. And he really led the charge in the first half. He ended up finishing up with 29 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks. A slight scare going with Davis going into the locker room with a couple minutes left in the game. Looked like he might have been shaken up a little bit. He was asked after the game. There was a report from somebody, I can't remember who it was, on Twitter saying that it was a shoulder injury, which he did try and throw one down really hard. but he's a little too far away from the basket, so the ball kind of checked up on the front of the rim, and it seemed like that might have been where he kind of hurt his shoulder. But he was asked about the game, and he had no idea really what the question was about. Like, he had no idea that there was a rumor floating around about his shoulder, and he said his shoulder was fine. He actually immediately posted on his Instagram story something about the Packers. I think are now 7-1, 6-1 or 7-1, and he must be a Packers fan. I wasn't aware of that, but he immediately posted on Instagram that the record was 7-1 now. So my guy made sure that the win was in hand and had to run into the locker room to check the Packers score. I can respect that. I can really respect that. I do that at work all the time if I'm working while one of my teams is playing. So hopefully my boss doesn't listen to this podcast. But anyways, Davis was fantastic in the first half, just altering shots on defense and providing the support for the Lakers on offense that they really needed. So, and sorry, this is kind of long-winded, but back to my original point. Davis carried the load in the first half. LeBron carried it in the second half. LeBron didn't actually score until I think there was like a minute left in the second quarter. He was really just kind of being a facilitator and trying to find guys. He finished with 12 assists tonight. I know he had at least 5 assists in the first quarter. He was really finding guys open and creating plays for others. And then in the second half, he really turned it on. He finished 7 of 14 from the field. Still ended up with 20 points, 12 boards, 6 rebounds. 12 assists, 6 boards. Only 4 turnovers. LeBron was great in the second half and really kind of carried the load for them in the second half. And like I said, that's the luxury of having 2 superstars. Is Davis kind of took over in the first half, and then LeBron took over in the second half. And I think that'll help those guys kind of preserve themselves throughout the course of the season. There's going to be some rest days and things like that. But even when they play together, understanding that one can defer to the other for stretches and allow the other to rest. That's important, and that's such a luxury for the Lakers to have. So hopefully that is a tool that can help both of those guys stay healthy and not put too much wear and tear on their bodies, and that'll be a great thing. So, but LeBron wasn't the only guy doing the heavy lifting in the second half. Lakers outscored the Hornets 24-18 in the third quarter, and then 33-21 in the fourth quarter. And a big reason for their second half surge outside of LeBron James was Alex Caruso and Dwight Howard. Both of those guys, Caruso, I was wondering really the whole first half why he was not in the game. Really just baffled me because he was part of the big switch in the Utah game in the second half, where he started the second half and the Lakers looked like a different team. And he proved his worth in this game. I mean, you look at the counting stats, 5 points on 2 of 3 shooting, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. But he was a plus 17 tonight. And, single game plus or minus isn't a great indicator, but this one matched the eye test. The Lakers had been flat most of the game, and as soon as Alex Caruso came in, it was just like a spark. There was just a spark. There was just this renewed energy. He really got the crowd going. He had a big steal that led out to a breakaway dunk for him. Really seemed to get the crowd and the team energized. He immediately was helping out on the glass. Defensively, I think Quinn Cook offers a lot with his shooting. But defensively, man, Caruso's a big upgrade over Quinn Cook. And that's why I was kind of baffled that he didn't play in the first half, was because the Lakers, scored 63 points in the first half. Like, offensively, they were fine, but they could not get stops, and their perimeter defense was very poor, especially their pick and roll defense. They had a number of breakdowns. So I was kind of curious why Alex Caruso wasn't in the game. And as soon as he gets in the game, he made an impact. Playing 13 minutes, being plus 17 is quite a feat, man. It's quite an accomplishment. So Caruso did a fantastic job. I mean, and Vogel seemed to acknowledge that after the game and said that it's a good problem, or Caruso is creating a good problem for Frank Vogel, and the fact that he needs to find minutes for Caruso. And to me, Caruso needs to be a part of this rotation going forward, because he just, like I said, the box stats probably aren't ever going to be anything pretty, but you can just tell his presence out there, how hard he plays, how good he is defensively, and as a secondary playmaker when he plays off of a guy like LeBron James, he's a pretty solid presence to have out there. So get my boy AC some more minutes. Frank Vogel, if you ever listen to this podcast, I know you won't, but if you do, get AC some minutes, man. Get him out there every single game. He needs minutes. He's helping the team. Get him out there. Okay, but the other guy that I want to, I guess, tip my cap to or highlight is Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard, this was a fantastic performance from him. He, I think on the Laker broadcast, they actually nominated him as the player of the game, and rightfully so. I mean, obviously he didn't have as good of counting stats as LeBron and Anthony Davis, but man, his impact was phenomenal. He shot 8 of 8 from the field, played 23 minutes. He was a game-high plus 23, and he was huge in that second half. He really energized the team, and kind of like Alex Caruso, energized the team, energized the crowd. His defense was fantastic. He had 4 block shots, but it seemed like he was contesting everything in the paint. He was really contesting a lot of shots. He had 16 points, 10 boards, 4 blocks in 23 minutes. And like I said, made all 8 of his shots. He was fantastic. And honestly, I know a lot of people maybe still don't like Dwight. A lot of Laker fans still don't like him because of the first stint or whatever. If you've listened to this podcast, you would know that I've been a big fan in giving him a chance, and this is exactly why. I'm not surprised at all to see Dwight doing this, but it is very refreshing to see him embrace the role that he's in, coming off the bench and just being kind of that guy that needs to do certain things. And he's been fantastic. He was excellent in this. He was excellent in this win over the Hornets. Him and Alex Caruso, combined with LeBron in the second half, really were the driving force to the Lakers waking up and playing the way they should have been from the get-go. But it's better late than never. And the Lakers turned it on in the second half and pulled away and walked away with a nice comfortable win, 120-101, and it gets them to 2-1 on the season. And I was blown away to hear this, but this is the first time the Lakers have been 2-1. This is according to the Laker broadcast. This is the first time the Lakers are 2-1 since the 2010-2011 season. That is crazy. That is crazy for me to think that, and I guess that's how bad things have been. But hopefully this is a new era. We get back to our old winning ways, and the boys right the ship. We get back in the playoffs, and we can do some damage. So it's a good start to the season. I said in my pod after the Clipper season opener that I was optimistic even in the loss because the Lakers really competed hard, and I didn't think they played all that well against a very good Clipper team. Still had a chance to go win that game. And, it'll be interesting to see how Kyle Kuzma's return impacts things, because it sounds like he's very, very close to returning. Maybe Tuesday's game will be the game that he comes back. We'll have to wait and see, but I would think the Lakers at home against Memphis should be able to get a win. Against the Memphis Grizzlies, who actually just got a nice win today against the Brooklyn Nets in overtime at the buzzer. That was a really fun game to watch. But they're not going to be a pushover, though. The Lakers can't take them lightly like I think they did with the Hornets in the first half. They need to jump out from the start and really push hard from the tip and try and play a good, strong, full 48-minute game, and really take it to a team that they should beat. The Hornets, or excuse me, the Grizzlies are a team that's very young. They're very fast, athletic, but the Lakers should beat them. I mean, they're a lot more talented than the Grizzlies are, and it's a game they should win. So hopefully the Lakers can take care of business and get to 3-1 on the season. But we'll have to wait and see. This performance, first half not so great against the Hornets. Second half was more of the game, the Lakers that we expected to see. So it was good to see that they at least figured it out at some point, and they won a game that they were supposed to win. So Lakers get to 2-1 on the season, and off to a solid start. So hopefully they can keep it going. So that's going to do it for this time. I will be back probably in a few days, hopefully recapping a couple more Laker wins. We'll have to see how the games play out, but so far so good. Lakers get to 2-1 on the season, and hopefully they can just keep racking up the W's. But until then, thank you guys for listening. Subscribe to UCast Studios, like this video, subscribe to Lakers Outsiders on YouTube and all the major podcast platforms. Again, thanks for listening. This is Gary Kester with the Lakers Outsiders, signing off.